All right, welcome into OGHQ. As you've seen from the intro to this video, we're doing something different this month. We're doing a giveaway on our custom install system, and we're also doing it a little differently in that in the past you had to like buy something special from the store from a special page. Well, this giveaway, we're doing it where anybody, any customer, anybody who buys something from the store, every $5 you spend, you get an entry, and we're going to draw a winner. This one is going to be a little different. I'm going to draw the winner live. If the winner doesn't answer, I'll move on to the next person. That winner, if the next person answers, but they don't have a garage, I move on to the next person. And Mike and I are going to jump on a plane, and we're going to fly to somewhere, wherever somebody is. Is this continental U.S. only? Yeah, continental U.S. only, probably because Canada and other countries aren't going to let me in. But we're going to fly to wherever we need to fly to in the U.S. And I think we included Alaska, didn't we? I think I said to include Alaska and Hawaii. Check the rules. I'm not sure. We'll clarify that in the description of where it is. So read the description down below. And Mike and I are going to fly out, and we're going to hang out in your garage, and we're going to build this. It'll only take us a day to do it. So we'll probably come in on an afternoon and start it, and then finish the project that next day and fly out, which I think is going to be pretty sick. But it's been a while since I've talked about this. So we actually have some different options and some things that we didn't have in the past that you could choose. So I thought it'd be cool since we're doing this giveaway to do a run through and sort of tell the story of this thing and how it all came about, and then talk about each part and piece. But I think the first picture I had in my head of this was in 2000. Let's see, it probably would have been 2017. It was when I got the first version of what I was calling OGHQ. I don't forget who, I should honor the source of who came up with that. It wasn't me, it was somebody, some follower. And it was the garage that I'd rented that was next to my office at Raymond James. So it was my Raymond James office over in Brownwood, which is the south side of the Villages here. And I had gotten a garage condo. It was a 1,250 square foot garage, and I thought, well, this would be a cool place to put our pressure washer. And it was right after that. I think it was around the same time. So right after, so I got that garage early, so it might have been like 2017. Let's see. We started selling K1122s in 2017. I met with the Kranzle family, Ludwig Kranzle and Uwe, his right-hand man, in New York City at the end. It was sort of toward the end of 2017, early 2018. I think it was December 2017. And that's when I said, look, I want the 1622, but the 1622 doesn't turn off, so it doesn't have the auto stop start, and only has 1.5 gallons a minute output. It was rated at 1.6, it does 1.5. So it's kind of weak. I really want the 1122 turned on its side so I can put it on a shelf for my building, on the building I was renting. And I thought what I would do is I'd put a hose reel underneath it. And so we do a Cox hose reel underneath it. And then we already had the CR Spotless set up in the store, so it would make sense to do the wall mount CR Spotless. And then we'll figure out some way to plumb that up with some copper piping or something like that. I never got it done there, so we never actually did it. I did, if you've been watching me for a long time, we did an on-wall version with the CR Spotless with the big machine at my wash bay. So later in, that would have been, let's see, when did I do that wash bay one? That was 2016. So I'd done that before the concept of doing the lower pressure machine or lower flow machine in HQ. And then when I got this building in early 2018 was when I finally got it done. And that was when I put the prototype, the very first K1322 to come to the US. That's where we put it next door on the shipping side of this building. It's about to come out of here because this is going to become shipping as well. And so the idea of this really, like, no one was doing this. This wasn't a thing. This is going to bother me here. It's shifted over a little bit. I don't know how that happened. Kind of shifted to the right a little bit. so this mounting a pressure washer on a wall, I'm certain I'm not the first person to do it, but it wasn't a common thing. Like, I didn't see anything like this. Now it's become sort of the standard. I see all kinds of, companies doing this kind of thing, where you put a pressure washer on a shelf and then you put a hose reel below it, and then you may or may not put a deionizing system depending on what your budget looks like. But people that put Ryobis, they've mounted Sunjos, they've torn apart Karchers, they've done ARs, they've done Kranzles, they've done that and everything in between, mounted at the wall, and then Cox hose reels become the standard because we put our stamp of approval on it, and it's become kind of sort of the hose reel of choice. But I've seen all different variants of hose reels on the wall as well. But it's kind of interesting how this idea, this concept of putting something on the wall has become so popular. It's pretty cool. I know we've sold several thousand of this package, which is way cool. And so I'm certainly appreciative of the support. The reason why I'm doing a giveaway is to hopefully create some more awareness. Only one person's going to win, so hopefully we'll sell a bunch more to help pay for the fact that I'm going to fly somewhere and pay to go put this in someone's garage. So that's the motive. And so the way it's set up, the way it's structured right now, this is an 18-inch wide stainless shelf. I have these made for us. This is a T304 stainless. I think it's 416L would be the base version of the shelf. We're doing 304. It's just a little nicer. The brush finish looks great. Mine's a little dusty from sitting up here. We've used this hundreds of hours. This is washed hundreds of cars, out here in the outside of OGHQ. I probably wash 100 cars myself, and then many of the other guys have used this system. So it's been put through its paces, both on the other side of the building and then retransplanted over here. And then the main power unit, the main pressure washer, is the K1322. This does my measurements. It's rated at 2.1 gallons per minute at 1,300 psi. 1,300 psi is at the pump head. But what I get out of the end of my 100-foot hose with a 4.0 nozzle on it, I get right at 1,000 psi, which is perfect for washing a car. And then you're getting right around 1.9 gallons a minute is the output that I'm measuring on this in real world, like holding with a stopwatch in a bucket, with a 4.0 nozzle on it. But a 4.0 40-degree nozzle, I think, is the way to go. So this is then strapped down, so I just started trying to figure stuff out. So for me to come up with this, I think I added it up at one point. I think I spent like $7,500 or something buying different shelves, different fittings, different pipes, different clamps. Just trying to figure out what works. And it seemed like every time I ordered something, I'd get it and it wasn't quite right. I'd have to order something else and I'd have to wait. So it took me months and months and months to get all this stuff. That's excluding the work I had to do to convince Kranzle to make this 1322. And so it was quite a bit of a process. Cost me thousands and thousands of dollars. And I thought that, well, if I could somehow package this and put it together and make it easy to buy, that maybe some others would spend $3,000 on a pressure washing system too. Being as I spent 7, 8, who knows how much money I spent, lots of thousands more, other people probably would want it if I was willing to spend that much to get it. Imagine if I told people exactly what to get and then created a package for you to buy that, clearly I was right, because we've sold quite a bit of these. And, it's kind of become the standard. I see them in backgrounds of videos and people's photos and all kinds of stuff. It's pretty cool. So the shelf is T304 stainless, the Kranzle K1322, the Cox. This is their hand crank reel. Now, I toyed with the idea of doing a retractable reel, but the problem with doing retraction in a pressure washer hose, you really have to walk it in anyway. And I like it to look nice and pretty, especially since it's down low. When my retractable reels are up on the ceiling, and so the hose doesn't wind up as nicely in those, but it's 10, 15, 20 feet on the ceiling, depending on what your garage looks like. So one reason is that it's on a retractable reel, it's kind of hard. I guess you can retract it, but if you're already here anyway, why would you spend twice as much to have a retractable reel. The other problem is that, you know, pressure washer hoses, even the Cobra Jet, is not particularly pliable. And so it just doesn't wind up extremely well on a retractable reel. And so we're doing a hand crank specific. And then I bought every single version. I think they had 4 different versions from Cox. They have different types. I forget. There's type SH. There's this is the what do they call this? The 112 model or the 100 series. I forget what the other series that has a triangle base. I bought all those. I tried stainless in different versions of them. And this version, this particular one, the 100 series, was what I think is the best option. It actually has a drag here, so you can make sure that when you tighten the drag, you know, the hose, the reel doesn't wind as easily, or so the hose won't unwind on you. Or when I'm pulling it out, I'll reduce the drag, but you can adjust the drag. And then what I'll do when I'm putting this away, you've watched me do this a bunch if you're watching the wash and talks, I'll take a multi-purpose towel, hold it here, and dry and clean off the hose as I'm winding it up. So then we do have an option. This is something you can buy, which sometimes we have, sometimes we don't. But the problem with the pressure washing system is that these shelves are like the shelf and the hose reel and the CR. They're not 16 inches wide. So this is one of the future improvements I hope to make, is to make some sort of bracket that would allow you to just not have to block the wall, or you could just hit the studs, make it 24 inch or 16 inch on center, 24 for a lot of commercial buildings, and make it a little easier to mount. But I do have this mounting plate that one of our followers made for us, that we do from time to time have those in stock. The mounting plate here, and then you could technically make the shelf, because the shelf is 18 inches wide, you could make the shelf fit. But Mike and I, we cut this wall and put blocking or backing in. So if you're constructing a garage from scratch, you're having your contractor build it, you're building a house or something like that, you want to make sure you put some stringers, put some blocking in between the studs. That way you don't have to try to get special brackets and things like that. But like I said, in the future, the hope is to be able to provide brackets and things like that to make this even simpler and more seamless, where you don't have to cut the drywall, because you certainly couldn't mount a I don't know what this thing weighs, especially when it's loaded down with water. It's probably 75, 80 pounds, maybe 100 pounds, and then you're cranking on it all the time. You certainly need some sort of backer to hold it together. And then the CR Spotless, which the way we set it up, and when you're buying this thing, you can buy this package, or you can add on the CR Spotless. And then this is where, my wash bay at my house, we just did some ProPress copper fittings. It just didn't look very good. And I just discovered this Prevost stuff. And so we did a lot of research and discussed with a lot of different Prevost personnel, several of their engineers, and no one could really answer me and I said, can we run water through this? And the conclusion was, I don't see why not. Now the piping's aluminum, the fitting's aluminum, it's airtight. So if it's airtight, it should theoretically be watertight as well. Now we've done some long-term testing. I can't recall a failure. I sort of tell everybody it's at your own risk. You freaking buy this thing. I mean, I'm just getting you there. And yes, you're paying money for it, but this is technically air stuff that we're using for water. Even the valves are for air systems. And so the way this probably should be designed in the future is you probably should have a simple 3-way valve. But the way I set it up, just to make it function, make it work with what we have, is we have valves on the inlet and outlet of the CR, which we can turn on or off. And then we have the ability to run water directly up to the system. And then once I figured all this out, I needed something to get from the Prevost piping to the pressure washer. I wanted something flexible, and the only thing I could find that was pliable enough and the right kind of fittings was this sucker. This is a super pliable, but it's T316 stainless, which we don't need. It's more pliable than we even need it to be. So just this piece alone is a couple $100. But you know, the way I looked at it is I was already in it that deep anyway, and then I think it looks so nice that, you know, many people would want the same thing, and so we made that choice. And then we've come out. I had to have MTM make me jumper hoses. They had like a basic black one that was 5 feet long at the time, and so eventually we were able to convince them to make a blue version. And then if you watch the install on this, the first time I did it, I cut the power cord and put some heat shrink on it, when I should have just either taken this apart or popped the top on this and shortened it that way. It never even crossed my mind. I cut it, soldered it, and heat shrunk it in the middle of the line, which is stupid. What you'd want to do if you were going to shorten this is you'd want to either open up the GFI plug or open up the top of the unit and, you know, shorten up the cable that way, which, you know, this is why I need Mike in my life, so I don't make mistakes like that. But this is the very first one. I'm like, well, how am I going to shorten this? Let me just cut it. And yeah, not the smartest move. So right now, you know, we haven't been able to put these in the package, but eventually we'll hopefully be able to do that. The PP plug here, so we have a plug. Forget whose idea this was. I know Troy Sowers made a big push for this, and somebody else, they'd made a fitting. They like cut off one of the plugs and the little 3/8 male plugs and soldered something on it to block it. But then we have a follower make these for us, so you have to, you know, get this thing separately. If you win the pressure wash, we'll make sure you get one. But this helps the dribble, you know, the dribble that is inevitable. And then you've got the masterpiece. This is my very first production version that apparently people have been dropping on the ground out here. But the Obsessed Garage Mosmatic gun wand solution. This is this is my version where, you know, we had this produced and worked with Mosmatic to engineer this from scratch. Where when I first set up my pressure washing system, I had like 7 or 8 inches of bulk. I had all these fittings, because I wanted a swivel in line so that way your pressure washer hose wouldn't get all bound up. And then in order to get the swivel on there, I needed a couple adapters, and then an adapter to an adapter and another adapter. And so it was about 8 inches long, and that was excluding the fitting here on the end of the pressure washer hose. And so now we have a single fitting, single integrated plug on the gun, which has made it such a better user experience. The other thing that's happened over time is that I worked with Swiss Tracks. I worked with Mosmatic. Where did I even get that from? To make stainless, that's where I was going. To make stainless with fittings. These are T304 Swiss engineered, Swiss manufactured, where most of these types of fittings are, you know, made in China, which isn't the end of the world, but these are extremely precise. They're also extremely expensive. And then combine that with the wand. See, the whole magic of this is that I believe a 20-degree bent 20-inch wand is my favorite, sort of ergonomically, to clean pretty much any car, even a truck. And then the ability to be able to take your nozzle and switch to a short gun is a game changer. And so this is the way to go. And again, I wasn't the one person to invent a short gun, but we did popularize it for sure, and have made it something that has become more and more commonplace. If you're doing anything with washing cars, you want to have the short gun experience. The other thing that you do with your gun and wand, is you'd want your foam cannon to take and switch between short gun to foam cannon, and then back and forth to lance. You know, having the wand and having that all as an option. You know, whenever you need to switch back and forth. So the system, you know, the way that this is set up, it really needs to be on a 20 amp circuit. I mean, that's the best way to set this thing up. I also have the Mosmatic holster, which took a little bit of trial and error to figure out which one worked. You know, Mosmatic has a pretty robust catalog, but the system, like the person who gets this, will get a wand holder or holster to holster your wand, keep it so that it has a place to go. Generally, what I'll do is I'll disconnect, I'll put the PP plug in and wind it back up. But the system in general is fully self-contained. It really changes your washing experience. Now, I've lived the high life and had a boom pole and instant on, so you do have a little bit of setup and have you pull out the hose, connect your wand. You could technically leave it connected all the time, turn your valves on, turn your system on, whereas if we did a boom pole at your house, which we could do as well, you'd have sort of instant on, just pull the trigger. But the user experience over carting something out and setting it up in your driveway, it's hard to explain. Those few thousand people that have bought these things know what I'm talking about. It'd be really, really hard to go back. I've done it a little bit in the new house I moved into, the temporary house, and then I was using just carry the thing, set it up in the driveway, had to wind up the hose and all of that, on the ground was not as nearly as good of an experience, even with proper quick disconnects and all that. So things that have changed, we now have options. Really, you could order this in any color you want, but I've got to pick some to stock. So you can get the hose reel in this color blue. You can get it in gray. You can also get it in black. And then we can order, special order a full stainless. That thing's like $1,100 or something crazy like that. But the black, gray, blue option we generally stock. And then the piping package is also available in gray, so we can do a gray piping package, which is a neat little touch. The only thing we can't change is the color of the CR Spotless. But the system in general has proven to work quite well. Here I've set up, which I recommend we set up in tandem. We've also done some systems where if we wanted to do deionized water out of the bucket filler, we can easily adapt that. I just don't have any mock-ups or any if you watch the VinWiki video, that's what we did. But the bucket filler here is something that we'll also, sure, you can convince me to include it in the package when we come up to the house. But this is a prior P118 hose bib that we had to block out just because of the length of the anti-frost section. And then the same hose, that same hose turns and is a really remarkable bucket filler for setting up and cleaning or filling up your buckets to set up to clean your car. So that's the system, and that's the story behind it. I think that, depending on what configuration, it's somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000 or $3,200, depending on how you set it up. It's quite a bit of money in boxes and shipping because it has to come, a bunch of different parts and pieces. But the cool part is I'm going to get you all the way there. You just have to figure out how to install it. Either share one of our videos with with your contractor, or your plumber, or or your person, buddy that's super handy, or something you really could do yourself if you know how to use a screw gun and know how to put on some plumbing fittings and using PEX adhesive and stuff like that. So the giveaway winner will be chosen. We'll probably do it the first couple of days of February, February 2nd, 3rd, something like that. We'll nail down the day. It'll all be on the site. But I'm excited to pick somebody for this and excited to continue to offer and continue to improve this over time. There'll be some future updates as well. Another thing that we made a change on is that all of our hose reels now have a stainless fitting. I just didn't love the brass swivel, so we've moved to stainless. We also offer a Mosmatic version. If you really wanted to go high end, you could put a Mosmatic swivel on the end of your hose reel as well. So that's been a differentiator for us to have, proper colors and then have stainless option. Another thing that's also changed over time is this is the original Cobra Jet. We have an OG version of a hose that's even a little bit better than this. At least it's an alternative to this as well, especially with our supply chain crunch that we're having at the moment. So yeah, thanks for your support for this crazy ideas that I come up with, and it seems that the world has responded really well. My vision for this someday would be that all this stuff bolts onto one bracket that fits on 16-inch studs, and we have a couple of different options. You can pay up and have us put it on a pallet, all assembled, ready to go, or we don't have piping packages. Everything is piped and plumbed right from the get-go. That would be a vision or dream I'd have to do someday in the not too distant future, or maybe to keep costs down. We do sell an unassembled version where it comes in smaller boxes and doesn't ship on a pallet, but we'll see. At the moment now, this is still a pretty awesome system. Something I think everyone should aspire to have in their garage. It really changes your user experience. Yes, most people aren't going to get their money's worth out of this from from an efficiency or a productivity perspective, unless you're a professional of some sort. But if you're a detailer, or if you're a detailer, whether it be a pro or just a hobbyist, this thing will change the whole process. I'm telling you, this pressure washing system and an awesome audio system are the two things that completely change the whole experience of the garage. I wish I wasn't on camera every time I'm in the garage, because there's nothing better than me. Turn on some music, let it rip, and then come and use my custom install pressure washer system to go out and wash the car with proper buckets and all the associated accessories that make it a better experience. Again, it's not necessarily about the what you need. It's about what you want and what you value. So anyway, yeah, that's the custom install system. I can't wait to pick someone and go install another one in somebody's garage. We'll take some awesome pictures and make some videos for you. So thanks for your support. Go to obsessedgarage.com, click the banner image for the giveaway, for all the details, and check out the description at the bottom here to clarify all the things that I'm fumbling through on. And we'll pick someone in early February and go out to their house. Thanks for watching.